in her own words. Under cognitive load theory, a person telling a false or incomplete story must work harder to keep details consistent. By allowing a long, free narrative, the detective gives Jessica enough space to either provide useful truth or create contradictions that can later be tested.
And so I called her, can't remember now if it was 2 or 3 times.
Julia Elaine Beverly claimed an intruder was inside the home. But in the interview, the detective quietly tested the other possibilities. He asked Jessica Bradley,
"So if what we're talking about isn't a self-inflicted thing, what would be the other thing that you would think?"
Jessica paused. Then she said the line that shifted everything.
The only other thing that makes any sense with any of the info that I have is if something happened between her and Julie.
The detective noticed the hesitation immediately.
There was a big pause there.
Right.
A subconscious thing that our brain does for a reason.
Yeah.
That is where the lie began to tighten. The detective didn't attack the story. He let psychology do the work. Silence, hesitation, and contradiction. Because if Jade didn't do this to herself and the intruder story didn't hold, then who is left? Welcome, or welcome back to my channel. Your single comment means more than you think. On December 5th, 2020, the quiet backroads of Williamson County, Illinois, carried the cold stillness of early winter. At a home on Songbird Road near Marion, 11-year-old Jade Marie Beasley was supposed to be getting ready for a simple family day, her little sister's birthday. Her mother, Jessica Bradley, called and texted, but Jade did not answer. At first, it felt normal. Jade was known to ignore her phone or fall asleep. But when Jessica turned onto Songbird Road, she saw something that did not belong there: police cars. Inside the house, Jade had been found in the bathtub, gravely wounded. Her stepmother, Julia Elaine Beverly, claimed a masked intruder had fled the home. But the scene told a darker story: blood, injuries, and evidence that pulled suspicion away from a stranger and towards someone already inside the house.
Just to let you know, this room records 24/7, so it's recording before we came in, and it's still going. You don't have any problems with that, do you?
No.
Okay. Also, this is a separate audio recorder because sometimes this thing doesn't work.
Sure.
So I'm going to turn this on. I got to do this formal little introduction.
Absolutely.
And then once that's over, we can just talk. How's that sound? Okay. All right. Here we go. Today's date is December 5th, 2020. It is 3:44 p.m. I'm Detective Chris Ramage with the Marion Police Department. In the room with me today is, ma'am, would you please state your name and your date of birth for the recording?
Jessica M. Bradley.
And the reason for the interview today is to discuss some things concerning the incident that occurred on Songbird Lane that the Williamson County Sheriff's Office is investigating. Okay? All right, now that's done. We can just take a deep breath and kind of talk. Okay? So, like I told Mike, obviously, well, first off, this is county's incident. Okay, it's the sheriff's office. Anytime something like this happens, something that is a major case, detectives from other agencies come out and give them a hand, because we're all small enough, we don't have all the resources we need for these kind of things.
Right.
So that's why we're at the Marion PD, and I'm the one talking to you guys. So obviously we need to find out exactly what happened and what went on. Also, what is important is to find out why. Obviously we weren't there.
Yeah.
Mike wasn't there.
Right.
But him being dad and you being mom, I mean, nobody knows Jay better and knows what's going on.
Right.
The detective begins calmly, explains the recording, identifies himself, and tells Jessica that after the formal introduction, they can just talk. This lowers the emotional temperature of the room. Instead of making her feel attacked, he makes the interview feel controlled but conversational. Under social penetration theory, people are more likely to reveal sensitive information when the exchange starts with safer, surface-level discussion before moving into deeper emotional territory.
Why don't we just start by you taking me through today as things happen, and we'll just go from there and just have a conversation. How's that sound?
Sure.
Okay.
I was getting her little sister's birthday cake and everything ready. She knew she was coming. She had messaged me.
And you're talking about
Jade. Yes,
okay.
yes. Jade knew she was coming over. It's technically her dad's week.
Okay.
Since she was around 1, she spent a week with him and a week with me, and we've just done that. It's kind of unorthodox, but it works for her. She loved it. Yeah. So her normal time with me wouldn't have started till Monday, but we've always been very flexible with, she can come and go wherever she wants, know. So I had finished up, and I had messaged her, I think it was about 12:40-ish. I have the exact time on my phone, and I think I gave that to someone, maybe you, I'm not sure. And I told her, I'm on my way, are you ready? And she didn't answer right away, which is not unlike her. She's horrible at answering her phone. And so I tried to call her a couple of times. Again, not unusual for me to call and her not answer. She's either left her phone in her bedroom or, and she's watching a video and
it's not glued to it.
Yes, yeah.
Rather than immediately asking who hurt Jade or what happened inside the house, the detective asked Jessica to take him through the day. This allows her to build a full timeline in her own words. Under cognitive load theory, a person telling a false or incomplete story must work harder to keep details consistent. By allowing a long, free narrative, the detective gives Jessica enough space to either provide useful truth or create contradictions that can later be tested.
And so I called her, I can't remember now if it was 2 or 3 times over the course of, maybe 10 minutes or so. It seems like 7 to 10 minutes. And I ended up calling her dad. I wasn't sure if he was working, and he was just leaving work. And I said, hey, are you home? No, I'm at work. And I said, Jade's not answering her phone. I'm heading out there. She knows I'm supposed to come at 1. I don't know if she fell asleep. The kid's notorious for just taking a nap, And so he said, well, I don't know. Julie's at home. Let me message her. And Julie's I'm not sure that they've actually legally married, but her stepmom.
Stepmom for all practical purposes.
Yes, that's her stepmom.
That's how I understood it.
Yeah. And I said, okay, that sounds good. I'm on my way. Okay. And I was, the last time I called her, I'm trying to remember if the call was the last thing or if the text message was the last thing. I can't remember. But I remember I was on Cheatham on that tight left-hand curve, and I messaged her after I got done with that, and I said, I need you to call me ASAP, because I need to know, are you ready? Are you not? Like, what's going on? Do you need me to wait for you? What are we doing? And like I said, I don't remember if there was a phone call after that or not, but when I turned on the Songbird, after I got up over that little bit of a hill, I saw the cop car, and I thought, well, that's kind of weird. I've been out there tons of times, quiet,
right.
And which is part of the reason I loved her being out there, because it was just, safe and free, and she, had the big yard and the, out in the country. It's great.
The detective lets Jessica anchor her account around normal events, preparing the birthday cake, texting Jade, calling her, contacting Jade's father, driving towards Songbird Lane, and seeing the police car. This tactic is rooted in episodic memory theory, where memories are retrieved through linked events, places, and time markers.
I'm going to have to ask a lot of questions. Okay. And just try to keep in mind some of the things I might ask. It's not for any specific reason. It's not that I'm assuming something.
Absolutely.
Or that anything is indicated.
Yeah.
At this point, this early into thing, an investigation like this, especially talking with parents, just ask everything to try, like I told Mike, I'm trying to get a little window to look through to see inside,
right.
to see why something happened.
Yeah.
There's guys out there working on what happened. I'm trying to figure out why.
Right.
And, obviously you guys should probably know Jade better than anybody else.
Exactly.
I know as kids get older, maybe that's not the case, but, she's 11. Hopefully she's not, there yet.
Yeah.
So, what is your understanding of what happened?
All I know is that one of the police officers, I don't know.
Sure.
The only one that I saw was the one that was taking notes, and he had Kay Franklin. It was the redheaded gentleman that was with him, the stockier one.
Mm-hmm.
There's two of them, but the stockier one was the one, or taller, whatever.
Before asking difficult questions, the detective explains that he has to ask everything, and that his questions are not accusations. This is a subtle but important tactic. Under psychological safety theory, people disclose more when they believe they are not being judged or punished for speaking. Because of this framing, Jessica feels able to discuss sensitive subjects like Jade's sexuality, depression in the family, her friend group, and possible emotional struggles.
Said that they said a couple of different things. Said that she cut herself or she had been cut. They kind of went back and forth. Like I said, when they brought her out, I saw the blood. I saw, a little bit. Of course, not all, because I was just trying to look at her face to see how she looked. But other than that, they couldn't tell me anything else.
Right.
So that's why.
If you, and I hate to ask you to do this, but if you had to speculate, if you had to guess, what would you assume could have happened that has us where we're at with things right now? And I just ask, based on what you know of Jade,
Right.
what you know of the household, what you know of where everybody was at today.
Yeah.
From your perspective and in your shoes, what do you believe happened?
I don't know. I have a couple of, my brain goes one way and then it goes another.
Let's just talk about them. Let's talk about both directions.
She had recently confided in me that she thought she was a lesbian.
Okay.
And of course, as a mom and her being 11, my first thought was, no, she's not. She doesn't understand.
Sure.
But there again, being her mom, I'm supposed to support her. She's supposed to feel comfortable. I didn't want to make her feel like anything she was doing was wrong. Just, I want to understand why you feel this way, and how can I help you?
Sure.
And I have a series of text messages from her, and she reached out to me through text message and said, Mom.
And when was this? Roundabout, like last couple days, couple months?
No, it's been more than 2 weeks. I feel like less than a month, maybe.
Okay.
When Jessica says she heard that Jade cut herself or had been cut, the detective does not immediately correct her or reveal the full evidence. This keeps the situation uncertain. Under uncertainty management theory, people often talk more when they're trying to reduce confusion. By not showing all his cards, the detective allows Jessica to keep explaining, which can reveal assumptions, hidden knowledge, or attempts to steer the investigation.
And then I found out that there was a group, there's 5 of them, and these are all girls that she's been friends with, I guess since 5th grade. She's known a couple of them longer, but there was 5 of them, and she's told me their names a million times. So there's Emma, and then Allison, and then Zoe or Zoe, and Jade is one of them. So there's one more, and I can't think of her name. So then a couple days later, she tells me that Emma. And I kind of chuckled at her, and she looked. I said, I'm not laughing at you. It's kind of cute how she asked. And she was like, oh, okay. I was like, I'm not laughing at you. She said Emma asked her if I wanted you to be my girlfriend, would you love me? And Jade said, well, yeah. And I was like, okay, so Emma's your girlfriend now? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, okay, you know, still trying to be like the cool mom and just roll with it, even though in my head I'm like, well, fast, I don't, you know, and my husband and I would just be like, babe, I mean, what am I supposed to do with that information? She's 11, like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
She's literally 11. Like,
lot to process.
Yeah, but I'm like trying to be cool with her, like, sure, yeah, okay, great. And she had tried to, a couple days after that, she thought she'd be slick, because she's slick.
Mm-hmm.
She's, you know, she's so funny. And she's like, so Mom, so me and the girls, let me back up. The 5 of them are all in this chat group, just the 5 of them, as far as I know. And they watch, they're all fans of this anime. It's called My Hero Academia. Mm-hmm. I've never watched it, but a few of my friends like it a lot, and they say it's really good. And I even asked her, I said, are any of the characters gay or lesbian that you know, like an influence or something? She was like, no, I can't confirm or deny that because I've never, you know.
When Jessica begins naming Jade's friends, the group chat, Emma, Allison, Zoe, the possible girlfriend, and Jade's online interests, the detective allows that information to unfold. This is important because it expands the case beyond a crime scene. Under social network theory, a person's emotions and behavior are shaped by relationships around them. These details give investigators names to interview, phones to examine, and possible emotional stressors to verify.
What is your understanding of what happened?
All I know is that one of the police officers, I don't know, the only one that I saw was the one that was taking notes, and he had Kay Franklin. It was the redheaded gentleman that was with him, the stockier one. Mm-hmm. There's 2 of them, but the stockier one was the one, or taller, whatever, said that they said a couple of different things, said that she cut herself or she had been cut. They kind of went back and forth. Like I said, when they brought her out, I saw the blood. I saw, you know, a little bit. Of course, not all, because I was just trying to look at her face to see how she looked. But other than that, they couldn't tell me anything else.
Right.
So that's why.
If you, and I hate to ask you to do this, but if you had to speculate, if you had to guess, what would you assume could have happened that has us where we're at with things right now? And I just ask, you know, based on what you know of Jade, right, what you know of the household, what you know of where everybody was at today.
Yeah.
You know, from your perspective and in your shoes, what do you believe happened?
I don't know. I have a couple of, my brain goes one way and then it goes another.
Let's just talk about them. Let's talk about both directions.
So she had recently confided in me that she thought she was a lesbian. Okay. And of course, you know, as a mom and her being 11, my first thought was, no, she's not. You know, she doesn't understand.
Sure.
But there again, being her mom, I'm supposed to support her. She's supposed to feel comfortable.
The detective asks Jessica what she believes may have happened, even if she has to speculate. This is not a random question. Under attribution theory, people instinctively search for causes when something traumatic happens. By asking Jessica to explain the possible reason, the detective learns where her mind goes first: self-harm, family conflict, outside influence, or someone in the household. Her first theory can reveal what she knows, fears, or wants investigators to consider.
Have that Patriot statue with the flag that's in that front. She was kind of off to the corner, so I didn't even know she was out there at first. And I asked him what happened, and I forget even what he said, because I was just not fully 100% concentrating at that moment. And he said, ma'am, I'm not really sure. Who are you? And I said, my daughter's in there. I'm her mom. Mm-hmm. And he said, who is your daughter? And I said, Jade. She's 11. I'm here to pick her up. Mm-hmm. And then time just kind of meshed together after that. And then I saw him bring her out. And I know just the blood.
Mm-hmm.
She's so pale. And then they put her in the ambulance, and I asked to see when there's the note. I understand. They think there's space to work. And so then I called my husband. Because my husband and I and my brother and my sister-in-law and my parents, we all live together in one big house. Jade has her own room there. It's like the Waltons.
Mm-hmm.
You remember the show growing up?
Vaguely. I wasn't a fan, but
right.
My mom was.
You know, the non-time where they're
John Boy. Yeah.
And she loved that too, you know.
Mm-hmm. All their people were there.
Yeah. So I called my husband. I told him I didn't know what was going on. And I had him tell Mom and Dad.
The detective gives Jessica room to describe seeing Jade, noticing blood, hearing the ambulance, and calling her family. While this seems compassionate, it also lets him observe her emotional baseline. Under effect control theory, people tend to act in ways that match their social identity. A mother in this situation is expected to show shock, confusion, grief, and urgency. The detective can quietly compare Jessica's emotional behavior to what would normally fit the role she is presenting.
Hey, we're I know it's recording all that, but that's why we're in a room with the door shut and doors out there shut, so we can actually talk about things we don't want to talk about.
Yeah. The only other thing that makes any sense with any of the info that I have is if something happened between her and Julie. I've never had a 100% comfortable feeling about Julie, but I've always kind of gotten a strange vibe with her, if that makes sense. Just kind of
explore that for me. You know, and all we're saying is like there was a big pause there,
right?
And that's not something you were thinking about. Well, I'm just going to sit here and not. That's a subconscious thing that your brain does for a reason. Yeah. So there's information in there.
When I first met her, it was just okay. This is who he's moved on with. Mm-hmm. Great, because our divorce was not amicable. I chose to leave, but again, you know, it was the best decision for the two of us. Sure. And I mean, we've obviously been fine. I mean, we're not Facebook friends or anything.
Sounds like you guys working out pretty good with the kids.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Better than a lot.
Right, exactly. And we've always prided ourselves on that, you know. When I first met her, she's quiet, but people are quiet. I don't, you know. So this was several years ago. Her family is from Massachusetts, and they wanted to take Jade, and she has a son, Jaden, which is super weird. They, you know.
Real popular name.
Right, apparently so, yeah. So they took her to Massachusetts, that's the furthest, you know, my baby had ever been from me, so I was a wreck, and Michael was like, I'm going to take care of her, everything's fine, I totally understand it, you know. So I sent her with a disposable camera, and, you know, like, take all the pictures, you know, she was a terrible photographer, so it was just like the car window and then, like, fuzz. And I was like, oh, these are great, Jade.
The detective's strongest tactic is patience. He lets Jessica build a complete story before challenging anything. Under narrative psychology, the way a person organizes a story can reveal priorities, fears, loyalties, and blind spots.
So they took her to Massachusetts, that's the furthest, my baby had ever been from me, so I was a wreck, and Michael was like, I'm going to take care of her, everything's fine, I totally understand it, So I sent her with a disposable camera, and, I was like, take all the pictures, she was a terrible photographer, so it was just like the car window and then like fuzz, and I was like, oh, these are great, Jade. But when she brought the pictures back, she said, we went to Aunt Nikki, which is Julie's sister. Her name's Nikki. We went to Aunt Nikki's store, and I said, oh, she has a store? And she said, yeah. And she was like, I have all these pictures of the inside of the store. And when I started looking at them, it's like a witch store. Like Massachusetts, they were in Salem, that whole
it all
scene.
sells.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, interesting, guess that's, and she was like, yeah, it was really cool, and she was telling me all about it, and again, me not trying to be like, well, that's weird, but in my head, I'm like, okay, whatever,
Maybe a little inappropriate for a kid.
Right, I mean, because it was like, it was more, not like kitschy,
not touristy stuff.
It was like Wiccan, pagan, things like that. Very traditional herbs and not potions, but essential mixtures, elixirs and things like that. And I was like, oh, okay, that's different. All right. And then that following Halloween rolled around. They had a daughter together, Mila, and I think she's 3 now. And Julie dressed as a witch, and she had Mila dressed as a witch, and the front of her shirt, of Mila's shirt, said something, the grand something. But anyway, that's kind of when I realized, like, I don't think it's just a shop that they own. I think that's their practice of religion.
Sure.
And so not too long after that, Julie's mom, Renee, moved here. And she has a little store. It's called the Black Widow. It's in Town and Country. I've always had this feeling and I've asked Jade, was Julie nice to you? And she's like, yeah. Of course, I don't know that she really understood
what you were asking,
what I was asking, why I was asking. And of course, Michael, that's his girlfriend or his wife. He's right. Of course she's fine. Of course it's, whatever.
Have there been any specific things that Jade has said in the past about interactions between her and Julie that maybe not even made you think there was something going, but like just kind of made you raise an eyebrow?
I've never felt like Julie completely accepted Jade as her own, which is difficult to do, and I understand that, but you always try to, and I thought after Mila was born, that would kind of, full circle, bring them all together. They're, from what Jade had told me, really strict about dinner. If you don't eat what they fix, too bad. You either eat it or you don't. Jade, which understandable, because when I was growing up,
The detective begins by explaining the recording, the agency involvement, and the reason for the interview in a calm, formal way. This is not just routine. It creates a sense that the process is fair, structured, and professional. Under procedural justice theory, people are more likely to cooperate when they feel the authority figure is transparent and respectful.
I came into things later on. You guys are already there and everything, so I haven't seen anything. I've not had any kind of really good detailed information about the wounds or anything like that.
And I couldn't tell.
So, we ask about everything and we look at everything in every direction. So if you said you could think of a couple things could have happened. So if what we're talking about isn't a self-inflicted thing because of a depression episode, what would be the other thing that you would think?
And this seems so far-fetched, but again,
hey, I know it's recording all that, but that's why we're in a room with the door shut and doors out there shut, so we can actually talk about things we don't want to talk about.
Yeah. The only other thing that makes any sense with any of the info that I have is if something happened between her and Julie. I've never had a 100% comfortable feeling about Julie, but I've always kind of gotten a strange vibe with her, if that makes sense. Just kind of
explore that for me. You know, and all we're saying is like there was a big pause there,
right?
And that's not something you were thinking about. Well, I'm just going to sit here and not. That's a subconscious thing that your brain does for a reason.
Yeah.
So there's information.
Instead of immediately challenging her with hard questions, the detective lets Jessica explain the day in her own words. She talks about calling Jade, driving to Songbird Lane, seeing police, noticing blood, and trying to understand what happened. This tactic is powerful because the first uninterrupted version becomes a baseline. Under cognitive load theory, a person who is hiding something has to mentally manage timing, wording, emotions, and missing facts. The longer the free narrative continues, the harder it becomes to keep a false or incomplete story perfectly stable.
Before I forget, let me get your phone number. Who's your phone carrier?
Cricket.
Okay. And what did you say your last name was?
Bradley.
Bradley.
Mm-hmm.
And your middle initial and your date of birth. Okay. And what's your address? Where do you live? And what about Jade's phone?
Her phone number?
Her phone number.
Sure, yeah.
And who's her phone carrier? Mike had Verizon.
And then that's who it is, because he has her plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that's Lisa anyway. Nope.
And I even have her on like Life 360, where where we can keep track of like
where she's at and all that.
Yeah. And like it'll show. I don't have the premium thing, but like that's her with the little wolf. Mm-hmm. And it shows, she's been home since that time yesterday, which matches when Michael picked her up from,
Sure.
So I, throughout the day, sometimes if I'm at work, I'll check and see, and I get notifications.
Near the end, the detective asks for phone numbers, carriers, and information about Jade's phone and Life 360. After allowing emotional storytelling, he moves into verifiable data. Under memory trace theory, human memory is imperfect, especially during trauma, but digital records can preserve objective traces of behavior, calls, texts, locations, and timing. This is how the detective quietly corners the story. Legally, this interrogation helped investigators separate grief from evidence. Detective Ramage allowed Jessica Bradley to establish Jade's normal behavior, recent emotional state, custody routine, last contact, and concerns about Julia Beverly. That mattered because it weakened a self-harm explanation and pointed investigators toward the home environment and stepmother relationship. Jessica's statements also helped identify phone records, Life 360 data, witnesses, and possible motive/tension. From a legal perspective, the interview itself did not convict Beverly, but helped frame the prosecution's theory. Jade was not expected to hurt herself, and the evidence should be tested against Beverly's intruder story. Julia Elaine Beverly was ultimately convicted in Williamson County, Illinois, for the killing of 11-year-old Jade Marie Beasley. Public reporting says she was found guilty on 3 counts of first-degree murder after a February 2023 trial. Law and Crime reported that jurors convicted her after prosecutors argued she stabbed Jade repeatedly and that her story about an unknown masked intruder was fabricated. Earlier KFVS reporting also noted that Beverly claimed she saw a masked person leaving the home, while investigators pointed to blood in the house, Jay being found in the bathtub, bite marks on Beverly, cuts on her arm, and DNA evidence connected to Jade. The sentence awarded was 55 years in prison, not life without parole. A 2026 Illinois appellate case summary states that after post-trial proceedings, the trial court sentenced Beverly to 55 years, and the appellate court affirmed the conviction.